Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. We have a blockbuster to get into. Holger Rune versus Lorenzo Musetti. Two extremely exciting players going head to head on the red dirt at Roland Garros for the 2025 fourth round matchup. Before we do get into it though, remember to hit that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating review if you're listening on a podcast platform. Shout out to our members as well for your contributions. Okay, let's get into this because this is a really intriguing matchup for a few reasons. The first being the head-to-head is 2-0 in favour of Holger Rune. But they've never played on clay before. They played once at Indian Wells last year. Rune won in straight sets, including a second set tiebreaker. Then they played also in 2023, so the year before. And Rune beat Musetti at Queen's. So on the grass, 6-4, 7-5. Pretty close. Pretty close. In both those matches, he came out on top due to a number of reasons, but the main ones being aggressive baseline play and also very good serving efficiency, I think is probably the right word for it, in both those matches. The serve really led the way for him and he managed to dictate the majority of points on his terms in both those matches, stifling the creativity that we come to see from Musetti in full flow, the variation that he possesses when he is on the top of his game. So, how have they looked so far in their matches? Well, Rune has been pretty good, but he did have a 5-set battle with Quinton Hallis. I think the crowd was potentially part of that, something to look at, because for Rune, that's not a positive sign if I'm being honest, especially if he comes up in future. If he were to get through this match against a Sinner or an Alcaraz, the crowd most likely will be on their side. Not a good sign if that was the case in terms of a dip in form, because he looked good against Bautista Agut and Nava, only dropped the 1 set against RBA, a tiebreaker in the first set. Quinton Hallis, though, he had to come from 2 sets to 1 down to get the win there. So a very hard-fought victory for the 22-year-old, but came through nonetheless. Also had an incident with a spectator as well, but did maintain composure. At least he got through it. But you would expect him to be beating, and this is no offence at all to Quinton Hallis, but you'd expect him to be getting through that match in straight sets or 4 sets at minimum. Musetti beat Hanfman and Galan in straight sets, including a bagel in both those matches. Interesting. And then against Novone, who is a clay quarter, he lost the first set but won in 4. Musetti has been one of the standout performers throughout this whole clay court swing. At Rome, he made the semi-finals, lost to Alcaraz. Madrid, he made the semi-finals there as well. Barcelona, he didn't play because he made the final of Monte Carlo. So final of Monte Carlo, semi-final of Madrid, semi-final of Rome. I mean, that's an incredible return for the clay court swing so far. For Rune, it hasn't been the same. Round of 32 or second round at Rome. Madrid, first round loss. Barcelona, he beat Alcaraz in the final. That was a big run, beating Ramos Vinolas, Baez, Rude, who he's got a negative head-to-head with, Khachanov, and then obviously Alcaraz as well. And then in Monte Carlo, there's a walkover. He was a bit ill in the first round. He so ended up losing that as well. Look, that Barcelona win for me is a big one because it showed the level that he's capable of, and I think beating Alcaraz is a massive, massive plus on his side of things when we talk about comparing the two. But Musetti's been the more consistent. So if you want a safe pick, you might actually go with Musetti, even though he's losing in the head-to-head. Rune, though, has more upside, as you might say, as people might say in America. It's a very Americanism, or is an Americanism even. Look, I mean, the psychological advantages with Rune. I think what happens in these matchups, and might happen in this one, but I think on clay it evens out more, is that Rune is able to attack the Musetti backhand, which is one of the best one-handers on tour, but he's able to go very very fast and deep into that backhand corner and make it very awkward for Musetti. The slice is effective, but Rune is quite good at combating the slice with really good movement around the ball to hit into in or into out forehands. Also, he's got a super reliable two-handed backhand as well, and that gets him and makes him rock solid in that specific matchup. The serve return dynamic is interesting. Musetti has significantly improved his serve potency this year, a couple of technical changes, and it has meant he's been serving better. So that dynamic is evened out a little bit, in my opinion. On return, I think Rune on clay slightly better potentially than Musetti. On clay specifically, because Rune has his days where he doesn't look particularly good on return, I have to say, but that was through a period, especially when he wasn't playing very good tennis, it has to be said. And then from the back of the court, you've got Musetti, who's going to slice and dice at times. He's got more variety. Rune has also got a lot of tricks as well. He also possesses a lot of variety, but I think with him, he is more solid. I think he's got better shot tolerance, I would argue, than Musetti. Musetti has some more flashy type shots, the really knife drop shot, the backhand lob, backhand line, especially the forehand he's been going big with. I almost think it might come down to who is able to dictate more on the forehand side actually than anything. And I sometimes talk a lot about the ad-court exchange, but I actually think in this one, it could come down to who's able to dominate more with the forehand, because the forehand is so important on clay, because you have more time to set up your forehand, more time to run around your backhand, hit into in or into out forehands. It's just such an important weapon that's needed on clay to have success. Rune is really good with his movement around that side. Musetti has also been very good in this specific clay court swing. This could easily be a 5-set match. I think if it is, it doesn't bode well for Rune, who's just come through a 5-setter, and he can physically capitulate at times. Musetti also has had some physical issues in the past. I'm going to pick Holger Rune to extend his head-to-head lead and win in 4 sets. But this really is a 50-50. Well, maybe because the head-to-head is 55-45 in favour of Rune, but Musetti is coming into this the more informed player. There's no doubt. And I'm sure he'll have a little bit of extra motivation given that he hasn't beaten Rune before. If I'm not mistaken, they're quite good friends as well. So there'll be some bragging rights on the table, I'm sure, as well. Guys, thanks very much for tuning in. Do leave your prediction in the comment section below. Thanks very much, guys. Stay safe. We'll see you on the next video.